So you're using that salary to pay Logic now?
When we started the year, we were down 5 jail deputies, detention deputies. Plus there was an additional position this year for the transportation officer. That has not been filled yet. So there's money there that we can use that we haven't had positions filled at this point.
Okay, so you're taking budgeted salary dollars,
Temporarily
salary.
Temporarily fill that position, yes. And there is a caveat also that we did lose one deputy. So I do have a spot that's empty. In the perfect world, what I'm asking for is to fill that position along with this chief deputy position.
So you're asking to add another full-time person?
I am. Okay. Numbers are up. We're humming right now.
Well, from what the additional is and the paper you gave us at that executive session,
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where we're at. You're asking for 110,000 is what I've got that you asked for.
That includes the benefits, yes.
Yeah. I'll tell you where I'm at. You're down one deputy right now.
Correct.
You know, from the last administration, if you add Washington, you're up where he was, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I can't add 100, on me personally, I can't add 110,000 to a budget to we're already 600,000 over. I can see giving you 10,000 additional for his rank pay and wait until next year and see what happens. That's me. That's me. That's me.
I'll appreciate that. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's me. There's 6 of us here. Ernie, you get that?
Yes. I tend to agree with you, Danny. It'd be nice to have an extra deputy or get back to where we were with deputies, but I think we need to find financing within the budget to pay for it rather than just do an additional.
Well, I do. That's just me this year.
Sure.
You understand?
No, I understand completely, yeah.
You know, because
So just so clear, you have a position at base pay that you can use to pay that, but we need to appropriate the rank pay, get him up to the position. Yeah. Okay. And I kind of feel like Ernie does. Right now, we can't drop another full-time person in there. We got the money to pay where we are. Take that money from that position that's not being filled, let's use that, get him up to rank pay, and then we'll see where we are when budget time comes around next year. Or at least that'll get you what you need for now.
well, if that's, anybody else have any discussion, any questions?
Danny, I'm with you. I think if we gave him the extra money to do what he wants with Logic right now, and maybe he can find some money in commissary or somewhere to add the additional deputy.
We're struggling with commissary right now because at the beginning of the year, we had a very low balance. So at this point in time, commissary is really not in play. It could be later in the year.
Didn't you have a vehicle you had to take out of that or something?
Correct. We had to pay for a vehicle in January on commissary.
And we can approve an additional price than what was advertised, correct, Jan?
You can approve anything extra what was advertised.
I'll entertain a motion to rank pay only.
I'll make that motion.
Bill
We
makes
allow the $10,000 for rank pay. And you will have the same amount of deputies, right? You're not down,
Correct.
not adding.
I'll second that.
Ernie seconds. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
My second request then, on January 25th, we received a check for $15,200 from the sale of one of our vehicles. That was sent to the treasurer's office, requesting that we move from QCAP to pay for equipment for the new car that just came in.
I'm trying to find out, Sheriff. Sheriff vehicle sales 6,000.
You want to take it from
Cume cap,
Cume Cap to,
You
put
just,
in either new car line item or equipment or the other.
That wasn't advertised. I mean, it was sent to us and it's been advertised, but it wasn't timely for this meeting.
That'll be on the next.
So it'll be,
so it'll be next meeting,
it'll be the next meeting. It is advertised timely for that.
okay.
And he can talk about it, but you can't.
we can't
You
do it.
can't,
All right,
what's the one for 6,000 I've got here? Jim?
Is it 6,000 for equipment?
No, it's got sheriff vehicle sale for trade-in of an old vehicle,
You don't have
fund named Coon Cap, 6,000.
it. So, and they're probably asking whatever money he does for sales and whatever vehicles, it has to go back into Q cap if that's where it's paid for. But it goes into the cash and he's asking to add it to a vehicle line.
Was that 6,000?
Once
instead.
this,
it's 15,200 separate from 6,000.
I don't know what-
this Coon Cap have vehicle,
Yes, it has vehicles,
it has a vehicle line.
but it's for,
Can we do both these next month?
that's up to you.
I mean, can we bunch them up together?
Just for clarity, the $6,000 dollars was from the car that was sold at the end of the year last year.
Okay.
So we're getting caught up on that. Yes.
That's the one I have here, it's 6,000.
Would it make a difference if we do them together, like if
No,
we
that's
Is
fine.
that okay?
Only do it back.
You're good on cars because we didn't add anybody, so, but you got guys coming out of the academy.
Correct. Again, this fleet we inherited was really high mileage. I'm starting to nickel and dime us to death on maintenance. So we're trying to get caught up for rotating cars. Thank you.
Anything else for us?
No,
Thanks,
no.
Sheriff. Now, do you have to redo this additional 10,000? It says 63 before we sign it.
You just, if you'll write the amount and initial it,
Okay,
then no, we don't have to read it.
good enough. We'll do that here in just a minute. Okay, let's move on. Teresa, on the pool.
I came before the commissioners yesterday asking for their guidance and thoughts on how to proceed with the pool that we know is in desperate need of a lot of repairs, upgrades, whatever, and hopefully the end result will be a new aquatic center for the community. The commissioners did vote yesterday to close the pool, keep the pool closed in 2023, to move forward and with a plan of action, waiting possibly to see about the ready grants and the different funding that we could come along with whatever. Today I got Brian Robbins with me, or here, I guess he's not really with me, but he's here. And he's gonna present some information to you about some figures and facts and data that our committee has compiled, because we have been meeting since early last year, early 22. So if you want to.
Yeah, and I want to first and foremost say that I'm here as a citizen and a member of Parks and Recreation. I'm out here representing the economic development.
You have to speak up a little bit so Ernie can
Ernie,
hear
can you hear me okay?
Doesn't sound like, is that?
Just barely, but you're okay.
Okay, all right. I'll take these and maybe pass them down here. This is some number crunching. We'll first start with this. The task of this committee, as we see it, is just a group. Here's the one, just in case there's not enough. Is to actually take the dilemma of the current pool and kind of evaluate what the possibilities are. And not only evaluate those possibilities, but also how some ways that the county can actually help afford those possibilities. The argument for, first and foremost, the argument for keeping the pool and maybe enhancing the pool is on this Shelby County and North study. That's something that we've been looking at those two pools because obviously those are in the closest vicinity. You can see, like an example, North Vernon. 91 of the visitors to that pool are actually from outside the North Vernon zip code. So you talk about a draw. These pools do act like a draw. On the other side, and I'm not going to go through all these stats or anything like that, but just from the Shelby pool alone, 1,000 people from Decatur County actually go to the Shelby pool, and that's 1,000 visitors. That's not 1,000 visits. That's 1,000 unique visitors go to the Shelby pool, go out of our county actually to go swimming during that open season. And then furthermore on that sheet, a lot of this has been taken from an application called Placer through the tourism office. It's a geofencing program that actually accounts for where people are at certain times, thanks to what's called geofencing on their cell phones and whatnot. So obviously not everybody, most people have cell phones, they probably miss some in that respect, but for the most part, it's pretty accurate as far as some of these estimates. So we feel it's actually pretty wise to take the infrastructure that we have, that being the Allen Water Pool, something that's around 60 years old, really doesn't owe us any money or anything like that, and continue to invest in it and maybe enhance it. So it can be that draw. We think, particularly with it next to the ball diamonds right there, we have the fairgrounds right there, the park, everybody knows where it's located. It's really kind of a highlight of, shall we say, recreation for the not only the city but the county as a whole, to let that go or to put good money after bad probably wouldn't be the wisest thing. So we do have a concept. You guys, I think, have seen that concept. We used context design to establish that. Teresa's been doing a wonderful job of background research, going around other schools, determining what the increased visitations were after the upgrades to various schools and what have you, as well as crunching the numbers as far as what it would cost, an estimated budget for a new upgrade school, as far as not only facilities and stuff, but labor, but also complemented with the fact that an estimated more people would be coming in at a possible higher price. That all being said, this group is looking at ways of possibly funding it. Of course, we do have ready funds as well as ARPA funds dedicated to it, but that will not be enough to actually be able to afford all the amenities that have been in the design, as well as ones that have been asked for by the public. So we're looking at all options, and again, I want to stress that this committee is one, we're not shoving anything down anybody's throats or anything like that. We're just trying to investigate all options that we have for the community to afford an upgraded pool. On this sheet, we've taken a look at something called the food and beverage tax. That's something that's been implemented by a lot of different counties and cities throughout the state. The closest one to us is Shelby County. Has a 1% food and beverage tax. Johnson County is another one that's close by that has a 1% food and beverage tax. This is strictly a consumption tax. It's on any prepared food or anything like that. So everything from the McDonald's to the gas stations or whatever, that big gulp that you see people walking down there, pay 1% on that. That 1% tax would be then dedicated to usually quality of life. It can be, there's limits as to what it can be used for. It can't just go into the general fund somewhere and be dissipated or what have you. It's got to be a designated use or a sector of use. A lot of times, many of these go towards quality of life initiatives via event centers, that sort of thing. So we feel that this would be an option for funding for the pool if the county does want to pursue it. We wanted to assess, we did a survey through the chamber. We really appreciate the cooperation of the Chamber of Commerce. Again, not endorsement, but No, I'll endorse the Chamber of Commerce, but the Chamber of Commerce, this is not endorsement. They allowed us to survey their members. We outlined what a food and beverage tax is, what the tax would be on. We got back 73 responses, 40 of those in favor and 33 not in favor. Some of the comments were very informative for us, kind of guided us in exactly what we needed to tackle, what questions we needed to address. There was concern on whether this would restrict growth for existing mom and pop restaurants. Looking at Shelbyville and Johnson, who've had it for a number of years, we do not see that to have hampered any sort of development in that area. Certainly, if you look at northern Indianapolis, it hasn't hampered any sort of development in northern Indianapolis or anything like that. As far as a burden on the Decatur County resident, using the Placer app, you'll see on the front page of this document, and one of the most telling was that 52% of restaurant visits are from non-Decatur County residents. So in this sense, over 50%, just over 50% of this tax would be paid by non-Decatur County residents. So that's telling. Now the real question is, and I won't go through all the stats there, but you'll see we gave the stats for just the McDonald's in St. Paul and McDonald's in Greensburg and how much funds those places of business would bring in an estimated a year on just 1% of what they've earned. We point out that in Shelby County right now, Decatur County residents are paying $17,000 in food and beverage taxes over in Shelby County. So if we can kind of capture some of that, that'd be great. But we wanted to highlight too that one of our assets as is 74 obviously, and we are halfway in between Cincinnati and Indianapolis. And to capitalize on one of those assets, we think this routing would be advantageous, particularly with the St. Paul Loves, which we calculated again using the geofencing in the Placer app. That 99.1% of Love's travel stops are from non-Decatur County residents. So we'd be able to capture that input into our local coffers and to put any sort of funding toward what we want. The Petro in St. Paul is 95.9% non-Decatur County. And those are the visitors are non-Decatur County people. So, and this is all through geofencing using a cell phone and such. So, there could be some fluctuation there, but the bottom line is that there's a tremendous amount of non-Decatur County folks that are obviously stopping at these truck stops. And to take full advantage of that would be, in our best interest potentially for things like that. Last page gives you an idea of what was taken in 2022 for those counties. We didn't include cities, but those counties that have the food and beverage taxes. We have everything from Allen County bringing in $10 million to, you go down to Johnson County, which we're trying to figure out Johnson County. That seems remarkably low for us compared to some of the others. And we just talked about that this morning. We need to look a little bit more on that. In the map there, you'll tell. Currently, and this is also one of the reasons we're investigating this, and I think Deanna had brought this up, was that currently we have an option or opportunity to take advantage of the state session right now to possibly get on a bill to allow for a food and beverage tax in Decatur County. It would not implement. It would still follow the local process. But for food and beverage taxes, you need permission actually from the State House to actually be able to implement. So if we were able to get on the bill and got approved, this would enable us to do it. It wouldn't require us to do that. I would even suggest that if we did get permission, that we still have an accountant crunch the numbers. And I've talked to Ruben about the possibilities of how much to bring in. He mentioned that some of those numbers are kind of hard to come by. But he did give us his estimate, and we kind of complemented that with what, specific retail and such. Now I will also say that Placer Ave deals majorly with national chains. It won't go into the mom and pops. So some of these estimates as far as, spending, yes, that's with the national chains, but we're not even capturing some of the mom and pop things as well. So it could be more. On the first page, we have the estimated year. We really want to put a bunch of asterisks by that. That should be just an estimate, a very, none of us are accountants or anything like that. I think in Ruben, his calculations, his range was, I think, 250 to 310 or something like that, but that was probably a napkin. I don't know how much time he put in that. He was very generous with his time on that, but we would really suggest that to be analyzed a little bit further as far as, moving forward. But that's the work. And again, I want to stress from the committee side, we're not pushing for this tax. We're not pushing for, any sort of means. We're just exploring that as an option. And together with the opportunity at the state, at the State House's current session, budgetary session, no less. There are other cities that have them currently in the works. Columbia City and Maryville are both pushing for food and beverage taxes. And I think there's from our talks with I believe Randy Fry, I think there's a number of other ones as well who are close to doing it. They see, local governments are seeing this as a means of funding, particularly quality of life projects and initiatives, which oftentimes don't have the funding sources that some of the others do. I'm reminded of a conversation we had about Ready 2.0, which looks to be like it's going to be funded next year. It's wonderful to have that money available, but some of the matching requirements are really tough on rural communities because we have to come up with, depending on what they ask for. Last time it was 1-to-1. Sometimes those funding sources are very hard to come up with out of the budgets of tight budgets of some of the rural communities. So sometimes these extra sources are advantageous to leveraging the greater sources for projects and programs in the community. And one of these projects and programs, of course, would be potentially the pool. Some caveats on that, taken from the chamber's survey. Those who voted in favor, we had a good section of them saying that they would like to see an end to it. A lot of a sundown, whatever you want to call for the tax, 20 years, whatever we talk about, and hold to that. The other thing of concern for the people who voted yes were that it was going to be dedicated to a set project or program and not just placed in the general fund and kind of dissipated throughout. So if it's for a specific sector, a specific project, people were very favorable.
Any questions or comments? What's your plans look like on that tool?
The plans look like as far as
What you're planning to do?
we're actually
Yeah.
We've seen them, but I didn't know where that was.
And to that point, I think the group, and again, this is an ad hoc kind of this volunteer group kind of focused on trying to help solve this problem. We're going to be entertaining other engineers, other design firms as well to see if they can figure out, where, to include some other things. But that concept that we did, submit out to everybody, that will be the guiding concept as far as the amenities that are in that, included in that. We've had some feedback from the public asking about, lap pools and such, so, talking to other designers to see if that could be possible to incorporate there and see where, any savings can be had, that sort of thing. We're following, down in Madison, they have just announced that they are redoing their pool. Their pool was built in, I think, 37, they said. So they're due for a new one as well, and we've contacted, their designers down there to see for a conversation, as well as some, designers that have actually worked here locally as well, so.
So we study maintenance and upkeep
And that's where Teresa's.
because we can build it, but can you sustain it? You
Perfect
understand?
segue.
Do what?
Perfect segue.
I mean, can you sustain it? I mean,
Yesterday I was
staff it
asked,
and-
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yesterday I was asked if the pool made any money or ever made a profit. And as it stands right now, it does not. It operates, we don't make profit each year. Very few older pools probably do. However, the newer pools that I've been visiting and studying with, they are seeing profits because their attendance is, substantially higher than it used to be. When we put the water slide in, we had a few years where our attendance went really high. I can't look back and tell you if we made a profit, but it was nonetheless, it dropped. That's what we're after. We're after that regional draw. So the committee asked me to compile a estimated, again, like Brian, we can't stress enough that everything is estimated because there's, we're talking probably 2 years out now before this would even become a reality. We don't know what the costs and things are going to be. But, we would have income of daily admission rates, and we project and propose that we're going to do an in-county, out-of-county admission fee. Most of the pools are doing that now. We will still offer our swim lessons, private pool parties, private cabana rentals. We're planning on putting hay lockers outside. Our concession stand would be expanded and would be, should be of a great profit to the whole pool because of the number of people. But we are projecting that we could easily see an attendance of 20,000 people annually. Last year, our attendance was just a little over 5,000. So, and that's 20, maybe a little low. I mean, I'm doing this conservatively because I don't want to falsely, give you any ideas what could or could not happen. But the daily attendance based on the figures that Brian, like he was talking about, most of the people honestly would not be in the 47240 area code. So we are saying that probably 33% of the daily attendance could possibly be from Decatur County, 66% could even be from out of county. That's based on just the figures that I shot for attendance at that time. We're looking at $66,000 for in-county, $160,000 for out-of-county. We had 147 kids take swimming lessons this past summer, so we figure that could even easily go to 200, which could bring in another 10,000. Private pool parties at a 10 party in the whole summer, and that's an average size party, would be 4,500 approximately. Cabana rentals, I realize that they're not going to rent all the cabanas every day, 75 days out of the summer. So I based it on 50% occupancy. That could bring in another $20,000. They're rented for $30 and $50 a day right now in 22. That's what they were rented at the pools. Concession estimate, I would say easily $125,000. And so that's an annual estimated revenue of $386,550. Which is way out of the ballpark for anything we see currently. That doesn't even include any special events that we might have as far as corporate type rentals, water walking, water aerobics. Those are things that people are contacting us now wanting. Movie nights, sponsorships of the cabanas, umbrellas, life jacket rentals, locker rentals. I don't know how much that would be. In 2023, my budget for the Allen Memorial Pool, which is typically a 70 to 75 day operation, is about $95,503. That's what I have in the budget. So estimating off of that, and there again, I have no way of knowing exactly how much more we would use in electricity. While everything will be state of the art, up to date, more economical, we would be talking about more operational costs. We'd have more water slides, we'd have more water features, more things drawing the lazy river, more things drawing electricity. So I can't tell you that the electric's going to be less, but we are also looking at the possibility of solar, adding some solar energy out there too that might help us. But I'm coming up with just an estimated budget if we were to operate the new aquatic center, the same number of days, I would say we're somewhere in the ballpark of $185,000, maybe $195,000. And there again, that's an estimate. We would be saving money on some things, and some things wouldn't change. Your cost for your phones and your things like that are not going to change because you build an aquatic center. So some of those will stay. But there's, you know, we would have to increase our staffing. We'd have to have more lifeguards. There would be some things that would definitely go up. So I feel like based on those numbers, I mean, we're showing almost a $200,000 profit. And I don't know that that's unreal. I mean, I really think there's a possibility. If we build something that will draw the people to come back to our area and our pool, I think we can see some of those numbers. But there again, I want to stress they are estimates. So I do think it could become a profitable facility. And I do appreciate Brian speaking on behalf of all these numbers and things that we've been.
Well, I can credit my associate, Yes Parker, who's been working with the place we're at and the tourism office, allowing us to be able to have some insight that, you know, previously possibly would be very, very difficult to get as far as, you know, visits and visitors and such. But yeah, to echo Teresa, these are all estimates. And again, from the committee standpoint, we are a committee kind of looking for a solution. We want to present information to you guys because you guys are going to, the commissioners are going to be making the final decisions and such on this. If there's some other information or some, you know, something you want us to investigate or look into, we'd be glad to do that as well. We just want to come to you guys with options of things to do and things to explore. So that's kind of what we see our mission as a committee.
And I do need to stress, these are based on the new aquatic center, those figures that I just did. If we were to elect to go with some sort of a renovation, if that be not what we're hoping for, but if that would be where we would go, you would not see the increase of revenue because we would still have the basic pool that we have now. We wouldn't be offering something new and exciting really to bring back families. We're really lacking in the younger kids. We don't have something that serves the infant toddler age for the whole family to come. This new aquatic center would be something that everybody in the family would have an area that would be for them. So.
Bring our aquatic facilities up to code, right?
Yes, and I said that too yesterday at the meeting. Once we get into this, if we do look at, you know, upgrading and if it could even be renovated, I don't even know that that's a possibility. We would probably be faced with having to match some codes now instead of the grandfather things that are under that pool being as old as it is. So.
Else have any questions? Go ahead.
I got a couple of questions on the food and beverage tax. So is that going to be something that the city and the county both will be able to use, or is it all county dollars, or all county? And then I'm assuming
The city can implement their own if they want.
Okay, but they have none of that money is going to be divided to city, county, even though it's.
Yeah, as I understand, it's all be collected for the county for a specific, ideally for a specific. purpose.
And then I'm assuming that's collected like the other tax goes to the state and it comes back.
Collected like a sales tax.
So it's state purpose.
You did say you was gonna put an end of life to it?
There is usually an end of life to them.
I think in the legislation, they actually have that attached.
Yeah, I would think that would be something in favor of. Just one other question, does the Visitors Bureau been actively involved with you guys on helping with all these numbers and all?
Yeah, very much.
Yes.
It's their program that we were using.
Okay.
The Placer program is actually a program through tourism office, and both Eric and Philip have been a great help. They've been on the committee. They are there too.
Any other questions? Concerns? Just like to see real hard numbers is all I'd like to see.
Yeah, I
want the pool fixed. I want something out there, I do. But the last number I've seen, just hard for me to digest for something that's open 90 days a year. And you know, I've said that before, Brian. You understand where I'm, because we still have to pay for it all year long.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference, but it's just, there's a confined time And it's,
I think the idea is that if within that confined time, if we were able to, your estimates that able to bring in that enough to help pay for that winterization. Because that's always been the issue, is it's open to, 3 months out of the year, 4 months out of the year for 60 years.
And it would be our intention to try to see if we could get the pool back to at least the Labor Day schedule. If we create a place that people want to work at, most of the pools that I have talked to and visited, they have a lot of adult and older people, or not older people necessarily, but adults at college that can stay and work longer. Used to, I lost my college kids first, and I finished my summer with my high school, but then with the school calendar changing, that put a whole new perspective on how we staff in the summer. So it's possible that we could increase that to a 100-day operation.
is there any restrictions on lifeguards now? Somebody told me that Indiana was coming up with a deep water, to be a deep water lifeguard, you had to go to a special school.
All of my guards are American Red Cross certified, and I've never been notified about anything. I mean, they've all been, I think there might be some extra things if you're out in the lake or something different that you have to be trained for, but all of ours are Red Cross certified, so I haven't been notified of any changes yet.
The other thing for the extension, as she mentioned, the river kind of walking, especially with a lazy river, being able to walk against the current, I think we often will close the pool because school starts or what have you. If you get a sector of the population that wants to use it each morning and do that, just walking outdoors, obviously we know that the 70, even 80-degree weather can go as far as in September or October now.
And it is a heated pool. I mean, we have no intentions of doing away with the pool heater.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
If we had those kind of meetings, it does allow for opportunities to keep that open a little bit longer.
And that is something North Vernon does utilize their pool for, is with their respite care and some of their nursing facilities. They'll bring patients out for rehab, and they do that prior to the public opening. So there's an opportunity for some different things that we haven't been able to do before as well, that could generate even more revenue that I didn't include in anything.
I think one thing going back to what you were saying, Danny, about the cost, I mean, it's a monumental amount of money without a doubt, but no longer use it, but and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I've been to Shelbyville pool, but I don't think I've been to North Vernon, but when you go to our pool, we have a lot of stuff out there. We got the park, we got the golf course, we've got the airport, the ball diamonds, fairgrounds. And I'm not sure that I know Shelbyville doesn't have all that.
No, it's in town,
It's right in town.
kind of in
Really
the
nothing
industrial
around.
area, as a matter of fact.
North Vernon, I don't know where they're.
It's in the city park, right on the corner. They put it in.
They still have all that we have to offer, so people can come and do more than just swim. But if they come to swim and see we have all that other stuff somewhere down the road, they might come back to the park, they might come back to ball diamonds.
Well, or if they're at the ball diamonds and they have time in between games, they've got something to do.
Yeah, so I think there's a little bit of an advantage to that part of it. When you look at how much it's gonna cost to put it in and how long it's gonna be there. If we didn't have anything around it, it makes it a little bit harder to take, but I think having all that out there with it, we're looking at possibly renovating the fairgrounds and doing some other stuff out there, offering more things. I think it's a lot of money without a doubt, but we spent $22 million on the jail too, and we made it through that, so.
Well, that's a year-round thing.
Yeah,
That's
well, I understand.
It's something we just like, it's just not, they don't open the doors for 90 days, say, come on in.
I'm not saying that, but it's still something that, we're gonna have to do something. Now, do we put a Band-Aid on something that's not gonna be?
Oh, I agree, it needs something done.
It's just a lot of money.
I'd just like to see a lot of hard numbers.
It makes it a little more palatable when you look at the big picture of what's out there.
I'm just not big on estimates.
Teresa, how many pools did you go and visit approximately and talk to?
We all started out as a committee at Greenfield because they did a renovation, but they did some extensive renovating, adding on quite a bit of things. It wasn't just a same pool. Then we also visited North Vernon, which is a new facility. We went to Brookville, has a new facility. Then we also went to Lebanon, who is pretty close to what we're looking for, size-wise and everything. And then we also went to Greenwood, which we knew Freedom Springs and Greenwood was out of our range, but it was nice to see the options that we wanted in our drawing in action in another pool, just to see how they were being utilized. So we visited, I guess, 5 of them so far.
And as far as numbers, I mean, you can go online and I can certainly send them to you. The numbers of the revenue of those who have food and beverage taxes as far as what it brings in.
Well, no, that's,
So city and county to give you an estimate of, okay, what range we might fall in.
yeah, I mean, this is really till you do it the first year, you're really not going on much money.
Yeah.
On the food and beverage you bring in, you're just, I'm talking about build, I mean, how much are we looking at to build what you want? I mean, you know, that's,
well, and
you
again,
really can't go nowhere there, you know exactly what where you're at.
And to Teresa's point, you know, we'd be potentially 2 years away from probably doing something like this. And with the fluctuation of the supply chains and everything, who knows what it'll cost them. Prices are going down, hope they do, but you go the opposite direction.
And we do have ready money committed to this project, right?
Yes.
And what is the premise of that ready money?
The ready money needs to be, all the ready funds that we were awarded need to be committed by 2024. They need to be expended by 2020. So just keep that in the back of your mind as far as the decision making. We have 1.5, was it?
We have ARPA funds
And
that
ARPA
we're
yeah, so we'll need to make a decision in some way, shape, or form, and spend funds by 2020.
And ready projects are intended for what reason?
Well, precisely for attraction of population and growth. So this is something that, and particularly quality of life, housing, that kind of thing, and this falls well within that. It was designated as such because they approved the project, approved the funding.
Don't have any questions, concerns?
And if anybody later, you go home and you have any questions, then you contact me, Teresa, or anything. Again, from a committee standpoint, we want to be a resource for you guys. We think it's somewhat clear as far as the general direction that we need to go. It's just how to get there. We want to help the community get here. We don't want to jam anything down anybody's throats whatsoever. We are on somewhat of a time crunch just because of the ready funds, but we want to be able to research and investigate every opportunity to make this happen. So.
What are we thinking, 10 years or what? How long is it gonna take to pay for this?
How long?
You have to leave that tax on.
Well,
I'm not.
10 years, just be 3.9 million according to their estimates.
Yeah, we probably, that's where it kind of goes out of our league as far as when it goes to the bonding costs.
We just have to run the numbers. We'd also have probably a public funding outreach as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've already.
And we have applied for, I did 4 different grants for Honda. I mean, and they're in the process, but I don't know what the status
Yeah,
is.
we're not just putting all our eggs in one basket or anything. It's just doing Teresa mentioned sponsorships out there. That's what
We didn't even name it the Honda.
try to capture. Why net sponsorship? And go from there.
Yeah, we don't intend for the food and beverage to be the only.
Honda Civic Center.
You have any questions, Ernie? I don't think you can hear me. Hear me, Ernie?
No, you got to put some hard numbers together and have a plan down the road because we've been fighting this other pool maintenance for 30 years. So I don't want to get something started we can't get out of. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see hard numbers too.
Yeah, and as far as putting another tax on, I'm really not for that.
I think they closed it for the year, correct?
The pool
Closed.
commissioners voted
Pool's
yesterday
closed this year.
to close the pool for this year. Pending further discussions on how to proceed, I believe is the way the motion was made yesterday. No, it's closed, but I mean, they want to talk about different options.
The pool's not even able to be open, is it? Without some repair?
The pool liner most likely would not make it. I don't see how it could make it another season. It's already surpassed its life by about 4 or 5 years. And patched on patches, so like.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Okay, Diana Winnie.
Good morning. This is just to go over the interest that was earned last month. And I'm also bringing forth the CD that we currently have at Napoleon. It's for a year. It matures in August, but it's earned in a 6-month period. It's earned almost $358,000. But currently, right now, it's the rate that was fixed was 2.63%, which right now on the daily for Trust Indiana, we have investments in that, which is a daily interest. It's 4.5945. But could you move the CD from Napoleon? Yes, but you're taking that penalty out of there, and it's only for the latter 6 months, you know, and Napoleon, you know, they're part of the community, they pay their taxes, you know, so I think we're just leaving that well enough alone. But like I said, it's making $358,000 just in the first 6 months, so it should give us some good money by August, and then we'll revisit it, see where the interest rates are, and then see how I want to reinvest that $4 million. The Trust Indiana for the last month, let's see here, it has earned over almost 94,000. And then I think the last meeting I brought up where we took the special purpose tax and invested that $3 million. Right now, I don't have a full figure because it hasn't been in there for a full month, but it was averaging, starting out like $400 a day. So hopefully I'll have a better number to present next time around. So that's all I have.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, Diane. Okay, I believe catch ride here.
Yes.
I don't know what you call it now, catch ride.
Yep.
She's an add-on.
I am an add-on. Thank you for letting me present today. I'm just here to give an update on our service, and I'm not here for any sort of request or anything. I just greatly appreciate you guys and your support of us. So in 2022, we had several changes with our service. We removed the social distancing requirement that we had in place all throughout COVID. So we're now able to get more individuals on our buses at one particular time. We also removed the masking requirement that we had through all of COVID as well. Masks are recommended, but not required. We would return to requiring masks if the high community levels for COVID would get increased to a high level. We updated our logo in 2022, and we're still in the process of getting that implemented across our 6-county service area. In 2022, we served 170 individuals in Decatur County, and they took 7,732 one-way trips. 77% of those trips were for elderly or disabled individuals. Our numbers remain about 50% of what they were pre-COVID, which is significantly low. So we're wondering why our numbers haven't rebounded. So we actually put together a transportation needs survey and sent it out to 150 passengers that had ridden with us in the past 3 years. We only got 136 results, but we found those results to be telling because we were anticipating seeing that people were using telehealth and telehealth for doctor's visits, subscription of food delivery services, grocery delivery, that those things did increase slightly from 2019, but not to the point where we would have such a significant drop in ridership. And those people that are currently using those services don't want to continue that in the future. It's just kind of something they're doing currently, but they would like to get back out into the community. So we're hoping that we can do some marketing to promote our service to help get individuals back out and in the community. So there doesn't really seem So we're still, trying to figure out why people aren't riding, whether they're just leery, for COVID, they don't want it to be in a vehicle with people they don't know, we just are left speculating as to why, but hopefully, they're relying on family, friends maybe, or we did find that some people just aren't getting out, which is pretty concerning, that they're just isolated, which can lead to, physical decline and social isolation just isn't good for people. So anyway, we'll be working through this year to try to promote our service. In 2023, we've already had several changes this year. We are now scheduling rides up to 30 days in advance again. We did that pre-COVID, and now we are back to scheduling further out, which is beneficial to those that are, work or doctor's visits. Those are things that you need, and those individuals can get those rides hopefully more easily. We did have a fare rate increase at the first of the year also. Our standard fare is now $3 for the first 5 miles and 25 cents for each additional mile. And our reduced fare is $2 for the first 5 miles and 25 cents. So we're still very affordable. If somebody just needs an in-town trip, it's just a couple of bucks to get wherever they need to go. We've also renegotiated some of our contracts with our Medicaid managed care brokers to bring in more revenue that way as well. We've received a grant for backup and internal cameras in all our vehicles, so we plan to get those installed this year. We have a push-to-talk app on our tablets, but we've had some technical difficulties on that implementation process, so we're hoping to get those issues lined out so that way we can have better communication with our drivers when they're out on their routes. Oh, vehicles. So vehicles continue to be a problem. So due to the global parts shortage and the federal government's push towards electric vehicles, the small transit buses that you see most readily around Greensburg are not available. We have 7 replacement minivans that are coming online this year, but we haven't had new vehicles in the past 3 years. So, we are hopeful that there'll be, with the push towards electric vehicles, the federal government and the manufacturers, they're just not making the chassis for those small transits. And so we're not sure when or if we'll ever get those again. So we'll have to see what the state can come up with their procurement and hopefully figure out what vehicles we can get. Because to operate electric vehicles in a 6-county rural service area, it would be impossible. Not to mention the price for everything has gone just through the roof and crazy. Our small like our minivans that we would get have like doubled in price. So trying to get grants from communities to help us with those matching funds for those vehicles. We're not asking for any of that because we don't run our minivans here. We recently completed our annual oversight exercise with our pass-through historic Hoosier Hills, and there were no findings with that. We have 2 quadrennial reviews this year, one with NDOT and then with RTAP for our drug and alcohol program. So we will have a busy year this year with those. We need drivers in all areas, and our drivers are typically retirees who aren't necessarily looking for a job. They're typically just individuals who want to help their community. So if you would know of anybody that would be interested in driving for us, certainly pass them our way. The pay, it's a part-time position, 1, 2, or 3 days a week. We also have occasional positions where they can just kind of say what days they're available, and if we have a need for that, they drive for us. And the starting pay is $14 an hour. And there's a lot of training that goes into our drivers. They all have to have a long list of qualifications, CPR first aid, passenger assistance, defensive driving, pre-trip inspections. There's lots of training that goes into being a driver for us. We really appreciate your support, and if you guys have any questions for me while I'm here. I know I talked really fast because.
It's okay.
Yeah, we get grooming
Any
in, so I
questions?
appreciate it.
Thank you.
so
We
much.
appreciate your report.
Appreciate your
Thanks.
report. Okay. Let's go backwards real quick and do that. Everybody got well, I don't know if you got an email on the salary ordinance. Did you get it, Kenny?
I did get that.
Okay. That'll work. So we need a motion to accept the salary ordinance for 2023 right now, which can change 14 times 40 years old. I'll entertain a motion to accept the salary ordinance.
So moved.
Kenny makes a motion. Ashley seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, well, we're signing Ruben. Me and Ruben, I've discussed with Ruben about, what was it, a few years ago, we raised the special purpose tax. I discussed with Ruben about bringing it down maybe 0.5%. The fund is pretty healthy, correct, Diane? And try to give back just a little bit. It's not a great big chunk, but it is,
We're going the right way.
yeah, let's put it that way. And I know I emailed everybody a copy of what was,
Yeah, so you may have these, I don't know.
I emailed everybody a copy of it, but it's nice to have one.
Real quick to back up, I agree, if you move further on approval, we should get more in depth on the figures. What I did is I found, the numbers are really hard to come up with, because the people that have them aren't allowed to give them out, unless you have an account for that particular county. And, so I found 7 counties that their numbers are easy to dig out of their annual report. We're gonna offer sales tax, get the average compared to your taxable income, your sales tax collections. And, based on average, it's about 300,000. The odd thing is the sales tax is off about $30 million the last 2 years here, but not in the other counties. Which not on which not in the last 2 years, you know, how COVID hit, right? People still buying stuff. But it's $30 million here, which from 190 to 160. And the other counties we looked at is not off that much. So that's worth digging into in the future also. It's kind of, that really shocked when I saw that. Anyways, that's what we're talking about today. The special purpose jail rate is currently 0.65, generating 2023 certified revenues, 4.5 million. Current budget is at 3.2 million, which is leaving a almost $3 million surplus. I would recommend we shoot for still keep a $500,000 surplus, leave some room. There's going to be fluctuations in income. There's going to be fluctuations in budget. That's a minimum I would think to see. So assuming that we need to be at up to 3.875 at the end, that requires a rate of, based on today, the current figure, right? 0.5549. The only problem is the special legislation requires it to be in increments of 0.5 or 0. So we have to either go to 0.60 or 0.60 or 0.55. If you go into 0.50, you're just getting too close to being there. So if you were at 0.55, you'd have a surplus based on right now of about 465. Still be able to fund everything you're doing right now in that fund, the bond payments plus the jail operations that are covered in it, and still maintain a pretty good healthy cash flow in it. And you can see the figures here. If you sit at 0.6, you have another $300,000 income a year. Every half is about $300,000, approximately every half of 1%. But so, I don't know. I'm not going to make a recommendation to cut it because, from my standpoint, I don't like. Not makes me uncomfortable, but I sit these meetings, but you can afford it if you want to do that. It would give some back. Now, at the same time, I feel like I got to throw in my QCAP development pitch like I make every year. Because if I don't think I'm doing my job.
if you were to increase that to the max, you'd have an increase of revenue of about $330,000 that could be used for any lawful expense of the county. It would actually still be a net positive to the taxpayers because it'd still be, the lowering of the income tax would be more than what you'd increase community capital development. It'd shift a little bit of funds and would take some heat off of the general fund a little bit still on that. So that, I mean, if you have more questions on that, we can talk about it. There's not much said, those are the figures. And it's about up to you guys what you want to do. If you want to do that, we just need to write up, new ordinance to change that rate. That's not hard to do. It depends on when you do it, determines when that change takes effect. And I forget those dates exactly. I'll look them up if you want to make a change. So Jen's got something she's thinking.
It's gotta be adopted by May something, correct? May 1st, May 31st?
Doesn't have to be. Not on the income tax, doesn't it? Income tax can be done anytime during a year. Yeah. Yeah, the income tax can be done anytime during a year, and that determines when it takes effect. You do it certain times, it takes effect October 1. A certain date range takes effect January 1. I mean, that's cum cap changes, or any cumulative fund change, which we have another one that we've discussed in the past right here, right? They have to be done and submitted actually by May 31. That date changed 2 years ago from April 30 to May. And I still say generally April, and I'm usually wrong when I say that because it's been that same way for so many years now. They pushed it back, so that would require legal ad, public hearing, 30-day remonstrance. The 30-day remonstrance can be going on during the submittal, so that's not a time frame. So if you were to do that in May, it can still be submitted on time. And once the remonstrance period ended, we would submit that part of the paperwork. That's pretty minor stuff. So that's I'll leave those up to you guys. You tell me what you want to do with them all, based on what I sent you, and we can move forward on that one. Now, we're going to discuss about Cume Bridge at all or not? You asked about that one.
Yeah, I asked, you was wanting to know about Coon Bridge.
Yeah.
When they get have a little problem, are going to down the road, correct?
Now, the bottom half of this page I'm giving you right now has the exact same community capital development stuff at the bottom of it, and it should not. I've been in Kansas City since Friday, so I prepared this guy when I was out there. I forgot to take the bottom of it off, and I got back last night about 10:30 in Kansas City, so I printed and I didn't fix it, so I apologize.
Okay.
Just it for us.
So anyways, so Cume Bridge currently sits at 0.0283, the rate does. It's a rate-driven fund, so you adopt the rate, that generates a levy. Those rates then will drop over time based on assessed value increases. They've recently adopted some legislation that will offset some of that, so it won't dilute as much over time in a lot of Cume funds. Several years ago, I don't know what year that would have been, Mark Moore did it. He said, if you take a little bit of the Cume Bridge away and work on the wheel tax, and we did that, and it's worked out so far. So we're back here again discussing that. So maximum allowable rate is 0.0333. That would increase the revenue, the levy, about almost $91,000 at today's assessed value. That would and I'm going to skip down a little bit in the page. That would generate about $100,000 total in revenue for Cume Bridge. $9,000 levy, throw in excise, CVET, FIT. It's about, it's roughly 10%. That's close enough for our discussion today. So it generated roughly another $100,000. The only problem with that $100,000 is it has to be offset by the other max levy funds. So whatever $100,000 goes to Cume Bridge has to come off of either the general reassessment, health, or park and rec, or a combination of them. That's the only problem with this even discussing this is those five funds all sit within that pool, and they got to split that money up.
Somebody loses.
Yeah. So there's no easy way to come up with that discussion or how to handle it, but that's just the facts of where we are within the max levy. Cume capital development is outside the max levy, so that won't affect anything. But the Cume fund would. So I don't want to handle that one, but that's the information you have. And those are the figures. And that's all I'm giving you today. I'm not ever making a recommendation unless you want me to. I can sit down and make one, but that's kind of more in your guys' wheelhouse. I'll give you the answers to your questions, but if you have any questions about it, stuff, I'll answer today. I'll set the end as I won't come back.
So on the special purpose tax,
Yeah.
currently at 0.65.
Yeah.
You're suggesting at the most, we should take it down to 0.55.
Yes, I am making that suggestion. That's
What
the base.
impact would that make on an average household? Like what is
Based
the average
on,
income?
that's why I was sitting there last night when I was printing that stuff, and I'm thinking on about every $10,000 of gross adjusted income, I think it'd be $100. Because it's based on, it's a percentage. But I mean, but what bothers me is when they list it on the sheet, it lists as 0.65%, which to me means move the decimal spots 2 points, right? But on $10,000, that's only $1. That doesn't make any sense either. So I mean, I think it's listed wrong when those as a percent. I've never dug into the bills to look at the actual dollar, but I believe it'd be $100 for every $10,000 of adjusted gross income. I can confirm that. It's just,
That would make a difference to me for sure.
I mean, if it's $1, I don't think it can possibly generate $4.5 million. Over it. But there's not 400 and that'd be 4 points. I can't do the math. That's a big number, right?
Well,
$453 million in income, adjusted gross income in the county. I don't think so.
myself, I'm for going down 0.5%, just in increments because of, we get a layoff, you know, and I mean, there's a possibility if we get a recession, we get a layoff,
We can,
under somebody like that.
we can do that and then next year.
Look at it next year again. That was my suggestion, do it little increments.
We got this property tax issue coming down from the state too. that we have.
Yeah, we're gonna get to come to that one.
So, until we get that figured out, we ought not go too
That's,
far.
that's not gonna help anybody. That's not gonna help anybody at all.
No.
Doesn't affect the state. Sure doesn't affect you all.
I'm definitely in favor.
Yeah, I'd like to see it go 0.6 myself,
Yeah.
0.60.
0.60, Ernie?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so you guys can discuss that. 'Cause we got time on that one. That's not,
Yeah.
there's not much of a time crunch on that. But I think it would just push the implementation back a little further if you took, 6 months to discuss that one. But if you want to do it, let me know and we can write up that, ordinance for that. That's a real easy problem. You know, how easy it was when you guys adopted those. I mean, it wasn't hard to do. It's just meetings.
We went up, it wasn't very easy.
It wasn't coming down. Nobody-
Okay, it's easy in terms of paperwork. But,
Yeah.
Going up, but easy.
So, I mean, so that's, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, 0.55 is the floor I would recommend, period, if you want to stay at 6. I wish you could go in increments inside of it, but they just won't allow it the way it's written.
I'd like to, yeah. I'd
There's
like
no
to-
limit to, you can do one every year if you want to.
Yeah, you could change it all the time.
Yeah.
If you see something, you need to go back up and go back up. We'll go down in the future, go down more. That's no problem.
You want to discuss coop cap?
Well, we can discuss it, but we're not making any decisions today.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Like a chance to digest that before we get too far into it.
You want to think about it? We can talk about that. I think we got another month or so to talk about it, don't we? Coop cap.
Cum cap
You're gonna get
dollars
close
are
to
kind of.
we would need to, you have to, the latest you can adopt it would be the May meeting. Which then we have to turn around and get it advertised, which is your paper advertised every day, once a week?
3 times.
Okay, so so you're not talking about, because you guys meet early in the month, you met late in the month. Well, no, you are late in the month. Third Tuesday.
So if we talked about it
Yeah.
next month,
Yeah.
March, April, March
The
meeting.
only thing if you were to do it in your May meeting, we just had to have the paperwork.
And we don't
prepared.
have to go max. I mean, we could, there's
Right,
increments
you
in
can do
between
it. Yeah,
there.
you can do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And those dollars were attached to.
I hate to give it back, but
dollars,
take it
right?
Those are property tax, it's property tax revenue.
Because this coop cap comes out of what, property tax?
Property tax, yeah.
man.
Well, what's frustrating to me is
Which is already going up.
That's what frustrates me about this whole thing. I was driving over today, listening to the radio, and they're talking about property tax, this and that, and so forth. Well, I mean, there was the big push years ago, that, because of the lawsuit out of the town of St. John, they wanted market value, because when it happened, they could have fixed, as their houses were worth $900,000. So now, and everybody, that's the solution, right? So now everybody's house values are up, taxes are up, they're all throwing fixed. I mean, that was the obvious end result of this, is that nobody wanted to look at that 20 years ago. Yeah, you guys, talk about them, and just, if any of you have questions, you reach out to me and directly, or as a group, or who, everyone do it, and we can talk about numbers, and time frames, and so forth. Hume Bridge have done the same schedule as QCAT as far as getting those done, and they can be done at one time. If you want to change both of those, they can be changed in the same process. Two different ads, I suppose, technically, and two different resolutions, but same time frame.
Depending on this public health legislation that's going through right now, there's going to be a lot of money pumped into potentially the health part. So if we were to have to make an offset, that would be something.
Well, that's was mine.
Yeah, you're exactly
what I
right.
was looking at. The health department is probably the most healthiest of the bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten there the last few years. We've done a good job of kind of moving those levies around just to keep those three departments.
They've got grants kind of like they know tomorrow here before long, I believe, the way they're talking. Well, if everybody think about it, we'll bring her up next meeting.
Let me know if you got, let me know in the meantime if you need something or whatever. Now since they got back last time, they're on the path and go to New Orleans for 5 days.
I said, don't forget my commission now.
Yeah, you heard, I'm gonna send you a bill for that one.
That's being recorded.
I don't care. Okay, let's go on to, anybody else have anything before we move on to transfers and additional? Todd?
If anything, I wanted to report, I've already reported to the commissioners that I came to you guys to talk to you about the NOFA call, preventive maintenance of bridges. And originally, my consultant approached me with this because they knew about it before we did. And we were going to be able to affect 28 bridges in Decatur County for $4 million and $1 million match. But it came down all the way to the end. 4 of them wasn't going to be in that criteria, so it was down to 24 bridges. All right. Then we kept going down, up on money, down and up on money. At the very end, okay, I was going to be able to affect 12 bridges for $10 million and a $2 million match. And that's not the impact that I was wanting for the county. So I was going to have to pick 4 or 5 bridges for the $1 million, which is not what I was going after. So talked to Mark, talked to Danny. I decided to withdraw from that. Our bridge inspection is due this year for a countywide bridge inspection. I want to take a look at that after that and see if this call comes out next year and what kind of success it had this year too. Surrounding counties, Jennings County pulled out, Rush County pulled out, so it's not as good as originally it was intended to be. I did talk to a gentleman, Kevin Russell over in Harrison County. I think he did a lot of the work himself. I'm hoping to meet him at road school, but he went after 21 bridges for $8.5 million and 1.6 match. But I think he did a lot of the work himself to do that. I think he was the push behind this whole NOFA thing. So I'm hoping to make contact with him at road school, just kind of pick his brain a little bit. So if anything, we decided to hold off and reassess it this next year. But I just felt like I needed to report to everybody.
Thanks, sir. Yeah. Okay, let's do transfers. Everybody had a chance to look at those? I think most of it's health insurance, except for Mr. Kohler's. Furniture. Do I have any questions? Entertain a motion to approve the transfers.
So,
Bill makes a motion.
Second.
Ashley seconds. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's move on to Coon Cap. I think we're redoing this one because it got advertised, didn't get advertised right, correct?
Correct.
$42,450. I think we approved it last time for hardware, software, furniture from our budget. Everybody get that?
Yeah.
42,450. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the additional appropriation of 42,450 for hardware, software, and furniture.
I'll make that motion.
Deanna makes a motion. Melanie seconds. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ARP additionals. Okay. We got one in here for $18,920 for radios. Is that what I'm reading right?
Yes.
Yep, radios.
It's the city of Greensburg's reimbursement. It has to go into cash and then get appropriated back in.
Oh, we
where
bring it
paid
back.
Okay.
So that's money coming in, is that what we're saying?
It's already,
Transfer back in.
It'll be transferred back in.
it's been receipted into the cash, it has to be appropriated by additional.
Okay.
We got the money, we just got to put it in the right spot.
Good. Entertain a motion to approve addendum 13 for $18,920 American Rescue Recovery Plan.
Ashley.
Ashley makes a motion.
Second.
Kenny seconds. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Did you get that, Ernie?
Yes, sir.
You got one at a time here. Okay, EMED Code Red, this is for that new software, Brad?
Yeah.
For, was it taking place of Nixle? 305,000?
That's also, go ahead, Brad.
But it's also for 8 tornado sirens in the county.
For sirens too?
Yeah,
Did you get that, Ernie?
Yeah, that's for sirens around the county, 8 of them.
Yeah.
That's for tornado sirens and
Right.
replacing Nixle.
That covers the whole county, right, Brad? Now, the whole county's covered.
It's the rural areas, yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, concerns? Entertain a motion to approve 305,000.
So moved.
Kenny made that. Ernie seconded.
That's 305.
Any other discussion?
What'd he say?
305,000.
Yeah.
I don't know what I said.
We'll keep it straight.
That's just numbers.
Yeah, I think be ready.
Once you sign this, it's official anyway. Okay, 110,000 for body cameras.
Yep.
Everybody knew about that one, and I think that was announced at the last meeting, so we need to approve it. Entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Bill makes a motion. Ashley second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll just give you the whole thing now. We'll give it back down to Janet. Okay, Decatur County Visitors Commission. We just need our signatures, Jan.
Yes, you appointed him last December, I believe.
We don't need a motion, do we?
No, no,
Okay,
we just need signatures because that's his oath.
okay. We'll sign that in a minute. Oh, anybody else have anything? I think the only thing we have to do is change this additional to 10,000. See if I can find it here.
If we change out. It is that we have to set it aside. I think you might have to
go. That's what Janet told me to do. Need 3 signatures on here for everybody.
I just for everybody.
Do I?
For everybody,
Okay.
but that was their form, so.
Who's today? 21?
Yep.
Here. Everybody sign that. Okay. Pass it back down and we'll do that next meeting. That's all I have on the agenda. Anybody got anything else for us?
Okay, just a quick update on the ARPA funds, where we are with all the projects that we have funded. We have around $920,000 left that we haven't designated yet, so, and we have a fair amount of money set aside for different projects that we're still working on. So I think that we've been able to take that $5 million, do a lot of good in the community, so I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished on that. But we still have $900,000 left, so.
Was anything appropriate for broadband?
No, REMC came to us about that project and but they never came back with,
I think they're still working.
they're still
on some of
working
their
on that,
grants.
and it's a monstrous
I know
project.
it
We, we listened to them and told them that we would possibly help support it if we could, but we haven't really gotten back from them, so. And we've got done a lot of things, we've got the EMA taken care of, the body cameras, and just multiple projects. Able to take that money and do a lot of good, keeps it out of the general fund, and off the taxpayer.
Well, I'm thinking, especially body cameras and stuff. I hate to dig around and try to find something up.
I can list off really quickly what we have paid for out of ARPA funds. We had a part-time investigator that we added for 2 years. We've got the ready match appropriation for the aquatic center. We gave money to volunteer fire departments, not-for-profits, small businesses, 911 upgrades, cybersecurity for the county, help the magistrate get started in the courts. We had local towns, New Point, Westport that we supported, and St. Paul. We have a fairground study going on for best use of the fairground, updating the county website so we'll have more access to information. Blight in Westport, a group that did the blight in Westport. The inclusion park out at the park out by the library. The jail fence for the outside area. EMA and the sheriff. We have money set aside for mental health yet that is not included in that $900 that Kenny told you, and also potential money for our structure here at the courthouse.
How's the website coming?
We hired someone to do that. Chuck's working with them, so that Scheidler here in town. So those are all the things we've done with our money, and still have about $1 million left.
Working on a new countywide logo, started that process.
Hey, Annie,
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you and Dave for setting up this Zoom for me. It worked great. Everybody looks really nice. Tell Jen I'll be in the work next week. And the screen behind you looks really good.
You need glasses. You think we all look good?
Thank you.
Especially me. That ain't no problem. Thanks for participating.
You're welcome.
Okay. Only thing we got left, sign this book. You want to entertain a motion to, unless somebody has
I
anything
do have
for us?
one more thing.
Go ahead.
Last meeting, you guys passed the regional development authority ordinance. Now, I spoke to Jen, and Jen, I haven't heard back from Chris yet, and so I just thought maybe it would be safe. Ordinances need 2 readings unless there's a resolution to forego the, and I don't think there was one for that, even though it passed unanimously last meeting. We didn't forego the rules or whatever to allow it to stand. So I would suggest maybe a vote for second reading for that RDA ordinance.
The only question I have, I wasn't doing my homework until I read the minutes. It says they can instill a tax.
They have the ability to do that. We don't plan to do that, but yes, by state statute, that organization.
I mean, what's
have to build.
So
It would have to pass locally.
Through us.
it would have to
Yeah.
come through us. Okay, well, I didn't want somebody from Shelby County. That's what we're gonna do, Decatur County.
So, but that, I think, Janet, wouldn't that clean things up, so if they just had a second read, it's been advertised since November, I think it was originally advertised, so it'll be something fun.
So you need another motion.
Yeah, and I don't know what number of ordinance it is.
I don't either, I don't have it.
17, 2020, I'm sorry, 2023-1.
223-1,
2023-1.
2023-1. Okay. Everybody get that? I'll entertain a motion to approve that ordinance 2023-1. So moved. Kenny made the motion. Bill second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Kenny makes a motion to adjourn. Ashley seconded. All those in favor of that?
Aye.